It is the most famous sound in sports, the anthem. Violins, a choir, a crescendo that sends shivers down the spine of every fan in the stadium. To the millions watching on TV, that music represents the pinnacle of sporting excellence. It represents history, glory, and the dream of lifting the trophy in May. But up in the director's box, behind the glass of the VIP suite, that music doesn't sound like glory. It sounds like anxiety. It sounds like a margin call. We are approaching the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. This is the moment the competition gets serious. But for the chief financial officers of Europe's elite clubs, the men in gray suits who never kick a ball, the next 90 minutes are not a game. They are a liquidity event. For clubs like FC Barcelona, Inter Milan, and Paris Saint-Germain, the Champions League is not a trophy hunt. That is a myth sold to the fans. In reality, it is a desperate, high-stakes battle to plug gaping holes in their balance sheets. These clubs have already spent money they haven't earned yet. They have built squads on credit, operating on the dangerous assumption that they will reach the quarterfinals or the semifinals. If the ball hits the post and goes in, they survive another fiscal year. The auditors remain silent. If it hits the post and goes out, they face a revenue cliff that could force the sale of their best players in June. Football is a game of inches, but the business of football is a game of millions. Tonight, we aren't analyzing VAR decisions or tactical formations. We are analyzing the price of failure. How much does a missed penalty cost? About 12 million euros. Welcome to the Champions League economy. To understand the panic in the boardroom, you first need to understand the pay structure. The Champions League is not a tournament. It is a ladder, and every rung you climb is plated in solid gold. Let's look at the price list for the 2025-2026 campaign. Just for showing up in the competition, a club banks a check. But the real transformative wealth is in the knockouts. This is where the budget is made or broken. Qualifying for the round of 16, that triggers an immediate payment of 9.6 million euros. Win that tie and reach the quarterfinals, that's another 10.6 million euros. Reach the semifinals, another 12.5 million euros. Reach the final, 15.5 million euros, with a 4.5 million euro bonus for the winner. But wait, if you stop calculating there, you're missing the biggest piece of the pie. The prize money is just the tip of the iceberg. The massive, hidden wealth comes from two obscure mechanisms: the market pool and the 10-year coefficient. This is the variable revenue tied to the broadcasting rights. The rules are complex, but the logic is simple. The further a team goes in the competition, the more TV matches they play. The more matches they play, the larger their slice of the broadcasting pie becomes.
Here is the brutal reality. If an English club like Arsenal gets knocked out in the round of 16 while Manchester City goes to the final, Manchester City doesn't just win their own prize money, they effectively absorb the English TV market share that Arsenal left behind. They cannibalize the revenue of their domestic rivals. A deep run to the final isn't just worth the $20 million prize fee. When you add the TV pool and the historical coefficient bonus, the total value of winning the Champions League exceeds $120 million in direct UEFA payments. That is enough to buy 2 world-class strikers, or more importantly, it is enough to pay the wages of the entire squad for a season. For the elite, this money isn't a bonus. It is the baseline requirement to keep the lights on. Let's apply this to a real-world scenario. Let's look at the most financially fragile giant in world football, FC Barcelona. Barcelona's financial struggles are well documented. We know about the levers, the billion-euro debt, the wage deferrals, but here is the dirty secret of football accounting. Big clubs do not budget for failure, they budget for success. When Barcelona's board of directors sat down in August to plan the 2025-2026 budget, they made a prediction. they have to submit these numbers to La Liga. It is highly likely they wrote into the official budget expected revenue reach quarterfinals of UCL. They built their wage bill, their transfer amortization, and their operational costs based on the assumption that they would receive that $10.6 million check for the quarterfinals, plus the $10 million in TV money associated with it. Now, imagine the scenario. It is February. They play a tough opponent. Let's say Bayern Munich. They lose. They are eliminated in the round of 16. Immediately, a black hole opens in the accounts. The club is now missing roughly $25 million that they had already spent in their projections. This creates an immediate budget deficit. How do you plug a $25 million hole in 3 months before the financial year ends on June 30th? You can't sell more tickets, the season is almost over. You can't sign a new sponsor overnight. You can't ask the bank for another loan when you're already leveraged to the hilt. There is only one asset class liquid enough to fix the problem: trading players. Because they failed to beat Bayern Munich in February, the sporting director receives a phone call from the finance director. The message is clear: we need to sell. Maybe they have to sell a key asset like Gavi. Maybe they have to accept a low-ball offer for Pedri or Lamine Yamal. They don't want to sell, they have to sell to meet financial fair play (PSR) compliance. The match on the pitch wasn't just about sporting pride, it was a battle to protect the squad. By losing the game, they lost the ability to dictate their own future. This is the desperation cycle. You lose money, you are forced to sell your best players, you get weaker, and you lose again. But the financial damage isn't limited to the UEFA checks. The pain radiates through every commercial artery of the club. There is another killer: the ghost revenue.
A Champions League night at the Camp Nou, the San Siro, or the Emirates Stadium is the single most lucrative event in the club's calendar. We are talking about premium pricing. Champions League tickets cost 30 or 40% more than league games. The VIP hospitality packages sell for thousands of euros per seat. The corporate boxes are full of partners wining and dining clients. A single home quarterfinal match for a club like Manchester United or Real Madrid generates between 4 and 6 million euros in pure high-margin revenue in just one evening. If you get knocked out in the round of 16, that quarterfinal home game never happens. It becomes a ghost game. The stadium sits empty on a Tuesday night in April. The staff are sent home. The beer isn't poured. The VIP boxes are dark. That 5 million euros vanishes into thin air. If you miss the semifinals, that's another 6 million euros gone. We are talking about a potential 15 million euro swing in matchday revenue alone. And then there were the sponsors. Read the fine print of a kit deal with Nike or Adidas. Often, these contracts have performance clauses. If Club X fails to reach the quarterfinals, the annual payment is reduced by 15%. If Club X fails to qualify for the Champions League next year, the payment is cut by 30%. So elimination doesn't just stop the prize money, it triggers penalty clauses in commercial contracts. It is a domino effect of financial destruction. This financial structure leads us to a grim conclusion about the state of modern football. The Champions League is not just a competition, it is a mechanism for wealth preservation. It is designed to keep the rich rich. The gap between the Champions League regulars, Man City, Real Madrid, Bayern, and the Europa League hopefuls, Aston Villa, Roma, Marseille, is now an unbridgeable canyon. Think about the compounding interest. Real Madrid qualifies every year. They get the 100 million euros. They use that money to buy the best young talent, Bellingham, Endrick. That talent ensures they qualify again next year. The cycle continues. Meanwhile, a club that misses out, let's say Chelsea or Manchester United in a chaotic season, suffers a revenue cliff. Their revenue drops by 100 million euros overnight, but their wage bill stays the same because players rarely accept wage cuts for missing the UCL. This forces them into a crisis. They have to gamble. They take risks on the transfer market to get back in. And if those risks fail, they fall into the ghost territory. This explains the political war of recent years. This is why the elite clubs pushed so hard for the Super League. They wanted to remove the risk. They wanted to guarantee the revenue without the threat of a bad 90 minutes ruining their fiscal year. The Super League died, but look at the new Champions League format. More games, more guaranteed matchups between big teams, more money. It was the compromise. It was the insurance policy the big clubs demanded to protect themselves from the financial violence of elimination. So when the referee blows the whistle next week, look closely at the faces of the club presidents and owners in the stands. Look at Joan Laporta, look at the Glazers, look at Nasser Al-Khelaifi. If their team concedes a goal, you might see a grimace. They aren't thinking about the tactical error. They aren't thinking about the offside trap. They are doing mental arithmetic. They are subtracting 10.6 million euros from the Q3 projections. They are calculating the amortization cost of the striker they will have to sell in the summer window to balance the books. They are visualizing the angry emails from Nike. To the fans, elimination is heartbreak. It means banter from rivals and a quiet journey home. But to the business, elimination is a financial catastrophe. In the Champions League economy, victory is profitable, but survival is expensive. And for some of these clubs, losing isn't just a sporting failure, it is the first step towards insolvency.